I can't believe what's happening with this team right now. Terry McLaurin, our number 17, the star who had never missed a game in 72 consecutive matchups, is out due to injury. But that's not all, because while we lose our star receiver, there's a player who could completely change the outcome this Sunday. And if you thought the surprises ended there, wait until you hear about the last-minute moves the organization just made. After years of watching this team struggle, after entire seasons of begging for a reliable connection between quarterback and receiver, we finally had the perfect chemistry between Jayden Daniels and Terry McLaurin. It was like destiny was smiling on us for the first time in decades. Since Dan Snyder sold the team, since Adam Peters arrived as general manager, everything seemed to be falling perfectly into place. And now this McLaurin, who hadn't missed a single game since arriving in Washington in 2019, who became the heart of our offense, who survived Carson Wentz, Taylor Heinicke, Sam Howell, is out with a quadriceps injury that could keep him away for several weeks. And when I say several weeks, I'm talking about potentially missing the most important games of the season. Do you realize what this means for our offense? Dan Quinn isn't downplaying the situation, and I respect that. When he says it's a week-to-week injury, when he says they're going to wait and see how it develops, I tell you this, we're talking about losing the most reliable player this organization has had in the last 5 years. Terry isn't just our number one receiver. He's the soul of this offensive group. Since he arrived as a third-round draft pick in 2019, McLaurin has been the only constant in an offense that has changed quarterbacks more times than a teenager changes shirts. He played with Dwayne Haskins, with Alex Smith when he came back from that horrible injury, with Heinicke on those magical runs, with Wentz when we thought we had the answer, with Howell last year. And in each of those transitions, McLaurin was the constant factor. And you know what's most frustrating about all this? When we finally had a special chemistry between quarterback and receiver, when for the first time in years we could say we had an elite connection comparable to what the Cowboys had with C.D. Lamb, or the Eagles with A.J. Brown, fate throws us this challenge. McLaurin was having incredible chemistry with Daniels in these first 3 weeks, but I also think this could be an opportunity, and let me explain why. This team has shown throughout the season that it has depth, that Peters built a roster with players ready to step up. When we lost Brandon McManus, we brought in Austin Seibert and didn't skip a beat. When we had injuries on the defensive line, other players stepped up. Marcus Mariota is going to have to lead this offense without his main weapon. But let me remind you of something a lot of people are forgetting. Mariota didn't come here to be just a backup. This guy has playoff experience with Tennessee, knows Cliff Kingsbury's system, and has been waiting for his chance. In 2019, Mariota led the Titans to the playoffs. In 2020, he was an integral part of that run to the AFC Championship. Now I ask you, will Mariota be able to keep this offense running without McLaurin? Can other receivers fill the huge gap left by our number 17? Luke McCaffrey, the younger brother of Christian, has shown brilliant flashes in preseason. Jalen Lane, that rookie from Old Dominion, has been working hard to learn the system. Chris Moore, the veteran who knows what it means to play important moments. Quinn trusts them, says they're ready, that they know the system. But I tell you this, knowing the system in practice is one thing. Executing it on a Sunday in Atlanta with 80,000 people screaming and all the pressure in the world is something else. The Falcons are going to come with blood in their eyes after that humiliating defeat against Carolina last week. And here comes what really worries me, our schedule. After Atlanta, we have to face the Browns at home, then the Ravens in Baltimore, then the Bears, and then comes the bye week. If McLaurin misses these next 4 weeks, we're talking about missing him right at the most critical moment of the season. The reality is harsh, Commanders fans. We lose McLaurin just when we needed him most. Daniels is dealing with a rib injury. Our number one receiver is out, and we have to go to enemy territory against an Atlanta team that just lost badly to Carolina and wants to take it out on us. And you know what? These are the moments that define not just seasons, but entire organizations. If that surprises you, wait until you hear this. Here comes the news that could change everything. With McLaurin out and Daniels dealing with injuries, there's a player who can become the secret weapon no one sees coming, Deebo Samuel Sr. And when I say he can change the whole game, I'm not exaggerating in the slightest. Do you remember what Deebo did in San Francisco with Kyle Shanahan? He wasn't just a receiver. He was an offensive Swiss Army knife. Shanahan used him as a runner, as a receiver, on special plays, in wildcat formations, as a punt returner. The guy was literally impossible to neutralize because you never knew where he was going to pop up in the next play. And now, with Cliff Kingsbury as offensive coordinator, we have the perfect guy to maximize that versatility. Kingsbury comes from Arizona, where he worked with versatile players like Larry Fitzgerald in his later years, where he designed creative schemes for DeAndre Hopkins. This guy knows how to use a weapon like Samuel. Mariota isn't Daniels. We all know that. Jaden has that special ability to extend plays with his mobility, that precision that only special quarterbacks have. But you know what Marcus can do very well? He can keep plays alive with his legs, can make quick and precise passes, and above all, can take advantage of a player's creativity like Samuel. I believe this could be the perfect combination that no one is expecting. Mariota has experience in spread offense systems. He comes from working with Arthur Smith in Atlanta. He knows how to operate in schemes that require quick decisions. And Samuel is exactly the type of player who thrives in those systems. Think of it this way. Atlanta is prepping to stop McLaurin. They're studying how to neutralize our traditional receivers. They're watching film of how Daniels connects with his primary targets. But how do you prepare for a guy who can line up as a receiver, run as a running back, and return kicks as a specialist? You can't. And that's the genius of what we might see this Sunday. And you know what excites me most about all this? Samuel almost returned the opening kickoff against Las Vegas for a touchdown. In that play, he showed exactly why the 49ers valued him so much. The vision to find gaps, the speed to exploit them, and that explosive acceleration that separates special players from the good ones. He's already shown that explosiveness, that ability to change the game in a single play. Now I ask you, can you imagine what would happen if Samuel returns a kick for a touchdown against Atlanta? The game would change completely in a second. The momentum would swing to our side, and suddenly we'd be dictating the pace of the game. Kingsbury has to be drooling thinking about the possibilities. Jet sweeps with Samuel coming from the slot, where he can use his speed against slow linebackers. Quick screens where he can use his physicality after the reception to break tackles. Trick plays where he appears in the backfield as a running back and goes out on patterns. Atlanta's defense isn't going to know what to expect. They're going to have to dedicate a safety to Samuel when he's in the backfield, a corner when he's in the slot, a linebacker when he's in motion. That confusion is exactly what we need to compensate for the losses of McLaurin and Daniels' health issues. But here comes what really has me excited. Samuel not only has the skills, but he has the mindset. This guy never hides in the big moments. When San Francisco needed him in the playoffs against Green Bay, he showed up. When they had to make the tough play against Dallas, he did it. When the Rams were pressing them in the NFC Championship, Samuel stepped up. And now that Washington needs him more than ever, I think we're going to see Samuel take that step forward that leads us to victory. The numbers don't lie. In San Francisco, Samuel averaged over 1,200 yards per season as a receiver, more than 200 as a runner, and had multiple touchdowns in each category. His versatility will also be crucial for our red zone offense. With McLaurin out, we lose our most reliable target in goal line situations. But Samuel can line up in the slot for quick slants, can run jet sweeps from the backfield, can even function as a decoy to open spaces for other players. Can Samuel fill the gigantic void left by McLaurin? Will Kingsbury be able to design enough creative plays to keep Atlanta guessing throughout the game? I tell you this, if Samuel has the game of his life this Sunday, we might be witnessing the moment that defines not just his season, but his legacy in Washington. And when you thought we were done, Here comes something many will overlook, but I think it's super important. The Commanders just elevated Antonio Hamilton Sr. and Tay Martin from the practice squad for the game against Atlanta. And before you think this is just a routine move, let me explain why this might be more significant than it seems on the surface. First, let's talk about Antonio Hamilton, and get ready because this story is fascinating. This guy is 32 years old, has been in the league since 2016, and has played for the Raiders, Giants, Chiefs, Cardinals, and Falcons. Did you notice? He played for Atlanta. This man knows their system, knows their players, knows their tendencies, and now he's on our side. Hamilton isn't just another veteran cornerback who happened to arrive here by chance. This guy has seen it all in this league. He started as an undrafted free agent with the Raiders in 2016, managed to stay on the roster for 2 full years, something less than 5% of undrafted players accomplish. That already tells you he has something special. Then the Raiders cut him in 2018, but he was immediately claimed by the Giants. That doesn't happen by accident. When a player is claimed immediately after being cut, it means other teams were monitoring his situation. The Giants saw something the Raiders didn't value enough. With the Chiefs in 2020. Hamilton was part of a secondary that went all the way to the Super Bowl. With the Cardinals, he worked under Vance Joseph's system, learned different defensive schemes. With Atlanta last year, he played 11 games and registered 7 tackles. They may not sound like spectacular numbers, but for a defensive back, the tackles don't tell the whole story. And you know what's most important about all this? Hamilton knows Atlanta's offensive system perfectly. He has practiced against Arthur Smith when he was there, knows the tendencies of their receivers, knows what to expect from their red zone offense. When Drake London runs his favorite route on 3rd and medium, Hamilton already knows what's coming. Now I ask you, wouldn't it be amazing if Hamilton makes the interception that seals the game against his old team? Can you imagine the storyline? A 32-year-old veteran who has traveled all around the league, who finally finds a home in Washington and makes the most important play of the game against the team that had him last year. But Hamilton also represents something more important for our defense. With all the injuries we've had in the secondary, we needed veteran experience. We needed someone who could come in at any moment and know exactly what to do without needing extra coaching on the sideline. Dan Quinn knows the value of having veterans who can communicate with rookies during the game. Hamilton can help Mike Sainristil when Atlanta tries to confuse him with pick plays. He can assist Emmanuel Forbes Jr. when they come with complicated bunch formations. And Tay Martin? This young receiver arrives just when we need him the most. With McLaurin out, we need all the depth we can get at the position. Martin has been working hard on the practice squad all season, learning Kingsbury's system, developing chemistry with the quarterbacks in practice. Martin isn't just any rookie. He comes from Oklahoma State, where he played in Mike Gundy's system, one of the most creative offensive minds in college football. He is used to complex systems, sophisticated route trees, formations that require high football IQ. What I like about these moves is that they tell us something very important about the mentality of this organization. Peters and Quinn aren't panicking over the injuries. They didn't run to the free agent market seeking desperate help. They're being proactive, using the resources they've been developing internally. These are the moves of an organization that has confidence in its talent development system. Peters knew these players were on the practice squad for a reason. He didn't put them there to fill spaces. He put them there to develop them and have them ready for moments like this. And that excites me because it's exactly the opposite of what this organization used to do. In the Snyder years, when we had injuries, panic took over the front office. They signed expensive free agents who didn't know the system, made desperate trades that compromised the future. Now we have an organization that plans for contingencies, that develops real depth on the roster, that trusts its scouting and development process. Hamilton and Martin didn't arrive here by chance. They arrived because the scouting department identified that they had the physical and mental characteristics to contribute when we needed them. Can these two players make significant, contributions in their first official game of the season. Will Hamilton be the defensive piece we need to stop Atlanta's offense? Can Martin provide that extra spark we need in the receiving corps? I believe these moves will be more important than most people think. McLaurin devastatingly injured. Samuel as our secret weapon, smart strategic moves. This is burgundy and gold, baby. This is what it means to be a Commanders fan in 2025. When you thought the news was over, when you thought we covered everything, there's always more in this organization that's finally doing things right. Do you think Samuel will have the game of his career this Sunday? Do you think Mariota can manage this offense without McLaurin? Will Hamilton make the defensive play that changes the game against his ex-team? I need you to leave your predictions in the comments, because these are the conversations that make this community special. Look, being a Commanders fan has never been easy. We've been through tough seasons, name changes, ownership changes, quarterback changes that felt like musical chairs. But if there's one thing we've learned over the years, it's that this team always finds ways to surprise us. And this Sunday could be one of those days where everything aligns perfectly. This is our family, Commanders fans. Here we analyze every move, celebrate every victory, and support each other in tough times. If these news excite you as much as they excite me, if you believe this team has something special under Peters and Quinn, then I need you to subscribe to this channel right now. Because I guarantee you that tomorrow we're going to have more explosive news, more in-depth analysis, and more of that burgundy and gold passion that unites us from the days of Art Monk and Darryl Green. Give it a like if you think Samuel will be the unexpected hero. Subscribe if you think this organization is finally doing things right. And leave in the comments what you think is going to be the play that defines the game against Atlanta. Because this is more than a channel. It's a community. It's a family united by the love for this team that has given us so much joy and so many headaches. But that always keeps us hoping that next week will be the week. And remember, hail to the Redskins.